Sometimes the best way to learn how to save and spend money is to know how not to spend it. Don't let that go over your head. Don't let it go over your head.
Sometimes you just got to think about things like how you don't want to think about things.
What does that mean?
I don't even know.
Hey, man, but let me tell you. Hold on, Boogie. What? Hey, homie. What? Hey, hey, dude, but that dramatic pause.
Yes. What?
Crazy.
I almost hit you with a, yep.
Mistake you made in your 20s. I got accepted to a university several hours away and was offered a scholarship for $25K. Instead, I went to a more local school so I could stay with my boyfriend. We broke up halfway through first year. Everyone is talking about investments.
It's not like we didn't stay each other for like a year. Not even 2 years after. Halfway through the first year. Honestly, I can see why girls would do it for the most part because they have a shorter like window in terms of their attractiveness and their desirability. But as a man, real talk, bro, you're gonna be at your highest value, so to speak, in your late 20s, early 30s. So if you want the, so to speak, the highest value woman that you can probably get, unless of course she's like helping you along the journey, you don't want to get bogged down too soon. Like maybe 25, maybe even past 25, but anything before 25, you don't need to be in a relationship. Just dead ass, because you're still trying to build yourself, right? A woman at 18 and a man at 18 in the dating market, so to speak, completely different. The average woman is having more dating success, so to speak, or is having more dating interactions than the average guy at 22 or 25. Once you get to the 30 range, you know, that's when you see more of a disparity in favor of the man as opposed to the woman, you know? I'm just saying.
Pregnancy, debt, etc. Meanwhile, the biggest financial mistake of my 20s was ordering too much takeaway. Y'all are adulting too hard. Blowing my entire paycheck each week. So when the housing bubble burst and all the family construction crews went belly up, I was ruined. I had no savings to hold me over. No skills in anything that was paying at the time. So I ended up homeless. I'm still pulling myself out of that hole over a decade later. Definitely not taking.
Sheesh. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. See, honestly, I didn't really understand money or understand the principles of money, personal finance, until I got into credit card debt from an Amazon FBA business. Essentially, I was leveraging the credit card in the hopes that that business would make me more money when I didn't already have the money on hand, right? When it comes to business, always bootstrap it as much as possible. But leveraging credit and loans can be pretty hit or miss unless you already have a proven system in place. Until you have a proven system that's making you money, that's making you consistent income, you only accelerate the process of that proven business with a loan or credit. But if you're venturing into a business that you haven't already have success in, always bootstrap it, use your own money. On top of that, right? Always pay yourself first. 20%, 30% of your paycheck should be going directly into your savings account. And then you can work with the rest of the expenses that you have, right? But like, yeah.
Credit card seriously. I finally have a great credit score after too many years of fixing my mistakes. Always pay off your balances, people. That shit adds up fast. Got someone nice.
Oh, and in terms of the credit card, always know that you have the option to settle your credit card debt with your bank. Banks don't want you to know that you have this option. But for example, what happens when you let's say for example, now you're owing $10,000 of credit card debt, and you see yourself only making the minimum payments, and you see also that the minimum payments aren't having a massive dent into your overall debt. So what you can do is you start not making the minimum payments. Yes, this will affect your credit score, but during the process, you are saving the money in order to ultimately give the bank a settlement offer. Banks don't write off your credit card debt until about the 6-month mark, so about 180 days of payment delinquency. So by around the 5th month mark, 150 days, you want to bring up the idea of a settlement offer. I have a whole video that goes into more detail on debt settlement process and how you can get yourself out of credit card debt quicker. In the cards up here, or you find it in the description or pinned comment. But there's a whole book, Negotiate and Sell Your Debts by Mandy Jikh. It goes into so much detail about it. I'll leave that link in the description. But like credit card debt settlement is a way that you can, arguably the best way for you to get out of credit card debt faster than any other option. Even debt consolidation, although it won't negatively affect your credit card, it can still take you longer to get out of credit card debt than the debt settlement approach. I'm just saying.
I wasn't married to or even seeing steady pregnant. Bought a 36k car. Probably shouldn't have done that. Would have rather saved the money. The car is about to be paid off, so I just look at it as a lesson learned. Same here. Worst part is it's really hard to park around my office, so I ended up riding a bicycle there for the past 3 years. My 3-year-old car has about 1,500 miles on it, from driving to the market once a week. Currently 21, going to an expensive college that I had no business going to. I feel your pain. Graduated at 22 with $50k plus in student loan debt. Still paying it off 7+ years later. Bought 6k worth of Bitcoin. Over the next 6 months I turned that into about 32 grand. My dumbass proceeded to spend every penny of that on traveling to see a girl and taking us out to fancy places. I wish I would have spent just 3k on getting my car back in good condition. Similarly, in my early 20s, I bought 100 bitcoins for $50 a coin. But no, I didn't become a millionaire because I sold at $100 a coin and spent it on spring break and random shit. In 1992, going bald at 22, went to Apollo Hair Salon in Jacksonville, Florida. Spent $1,500 for a hair weave. Ripped it out after 2 days. Biggest waste of money. Not me, but one of my classmates realized that he didn't want to be a doctor after he had finished his 4th year tuition for medical school and did not successfully match into a residency program. Now he's at least $300,000 in debt and does not expect to have a doctor's income in order to pay that off. Supporting the lifestyle.
A moment of silence for the homie. $300,000 in student loan debt. And still did not end up becoming a doctor. Is education a scam? Are we living in the Matrix? I can't say much of that one, man. Honestly, like, I feel like if there wasn't so much pressure from your parents, or even like, let's say you're an immigrant coming in, the best approach would probably be to take school on part-time, like go to school part-time, right? Like take 2 or 3 classes per semester while you're working an actual job. That'll probably be more manageable. You might graduate longer, but you probably have less debt overall, right? And also another one, right, is like people who aren't saving throughout their 4-year degree with the intention of paying the money back. Like they're not cautious of the money that they are accruing over their 4-year degree, right? So be cautious of like, yo, okay, all my paychecks, at least 20%, 30%, whatever I can afford, even more, especially if you live at home with your parents, putting that directly into your savings account so that by the time you graduate, you might have $30,000 in credit card debt, in student loans, but maybe you have $8,000 or maybe $9,000 or even $10,000 per se in savings that you can put directly towards that debt, right? But like people just graduate and have the $30,000 of student loan debt, but throughout the 4 years they were never saving money. You know, I think that's one way I would say that people should like think about if they want to actually graduate with minimal debt, especially if they don't have all the scholarships to pay for schooling.
I love 2 people when both of us were making money. It's a lot easier to segue into a new life when you aren't still getting someone else's bills. Okay, so where do I begin? 1. Was told to invest in Amazon fairly early, when they were still selling books. 2. Was told about Bitcoin when it was still nothing, right around the time the guy bought the pizzas with his Bitcoin. 3. Was told to short BlackBerry when it tanked prior to the news of them stopping selling mobile phones. 4. Was told about a fixed tennis match which I could have made an absolute killing on. Instead I bet £5 throughout the entire match and made £45. I thought I would die alone and never find a girlfriend, so I spent 3 years in a long-distance relationship, flying every other weekend to meet her. $20,000 in credit card debt before I finally woke the fuck up and realized what I was doing was wrong.
Did she ever fly to meet you?
Wool up, nigga. Wool up, wool up, wool up. Just wool up.
Yo, did she ever fly to meet you? I want to know. Simping can be expensive, man. Simping, like putting the girl's needs all the time, or someone else, just in general, putting someone else's needs before your own, making sure you're good all the time, it can be expensive. Nigga.
Ruined my credit, wasted years of my life. Dude, you got lucky. You could have married her, had kids, and then realized you made a huge mistake. My first credit card was an American Express card. I had no idea you had to pay it all back at the end of the month. It was only $400, but at that time it might as well been $4,000. Well, you don't. You have to pay the minimum. You should pay it all back. I was 19 in 2009 when I entered culinary school. I didn't get approved for any Pell Grants or FAFSA due to how much my parents made. Later that year, my parents applied for bankruptcy and they lost all of their savings and 401ks trying to do the right thing to dig themselves out of a financial hole. Parents never gave me $1 for my education, I paid it all. Still salty about why the fuck your parents' incomes matter when applying for financial assistance for school. Honestly, probably smoking. As a pack-a-day smoker, I was spending $14 daily. Little over $5K a year. Dang.
Bro, another one, expensive, addictions. The money on the ganja, the money on the cig, the money on the booze. People don't even realize caffeine addiction can also be pretty expensive. This is why the Truth of Addiction program can help you overcome your addiction and save money. $37 compared to spending $100 per week or per month on your addiction. Check it out, link in the description. But no cap though, I feel like even me, like no fap or like pornography or looking at adult content online, right? The addiction to that can also be expensive. It's not like you are spending money because all these sites are free for the most part, but you're wasting a lot of productivity and time, right? So that one's mostly time that you're wasting. But like with other addictions, it's time plus money, which can be even worse.
Strip clubs. I'm so ashamed of the dollar sign I spent in these places. No offense to the lovely ladies who work at these places, but it is such a waste of money. Herbalife. Got sucked into buying products I needed to sell. $400 initial buy-in. Stupid young 20-something boblist. I got some knives for sale if you're interested. Early 20s, credit card debt. Bailed myself out of that pretty quickly. Mid-late 20s, open a bicycle shop. Great learning experience and I didn't lose my shirt, but lost a bunch of money nonetheless, and could have used the time doing other things, maybe have bought a house or something. Now I'm on a pretty conventional career path and fortunately I'm making decent money, able to save while living comfortably. Simply spending too much without paying attention to it and thinking I was probably fine. And it was usually just regular stuff like coffee and takeaways too. I just didn't notice how quickly it all adds up. By the time I met my future wife, I had pretty much zero assets and some debt, despite the fact that I had a reasonably good paying job. She went through my finances like a hurricane and we agreed on a strict budget and a weekly allowance. A decade later, we're debt free with house paid off. It's the most basic financial.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
You love to see it.
You hate to see it.
You love to see it.
You hate to see it. You actually hate to see it.
You love to see it.
Need a person that uplifts you and doesn't like suck you like a vampire or a leech. You know, but honestly, the periods of my life where I didn't check my bank account are the periods where I spent the most money. So get into the habit of checking your bank account every single day. Just have a look, have a peep, have a peek. See that? Oh, $10, $5, $3. It all starts to add up. But if you check it on a regular basis, like every day, every other day, you will find yourself being more cautious with what you're spending. But whenever you don't check it for a long time, I've gone like a whole week without checking it, right? And you can only imagine what I ended up finding by the time I looked at my account. Check it every day and you will thank yourself later.
Advice, but learn to budget everything properly. Someone stole a couple of my credit cards and made a bunch of fraudulent charges. I sincerely believed, naively, that simply calling the credit card company to cancel the account was sufficient enough to contest those charges. Unfortunately, that's not true. Also, in the US you have only 60 days to contest any charges or they stand. Well, my false impression led me to not contest those charges, thinking I already did, and by the time I realized it was several weeks later. I'm on the hook now for a lot of money I absolutely cannot repay. It caused me a lot of financial problems, and it took me a couple years to even save up enough money for the $700 attorney fee to file bankruptcy to clean that out. There's absolutely no way I ever could have paid that back, with interest, late fees, etc. By the time it got to court, the total debt discharge was over $20,000. Purchasing for haircut.
Again, you have the option for credit card debt settlement. Check out the resources in the description and pin comment of this video. It is an option. It might affect your credit score negatively, but you can rebuild it and increase your score eventually within a year or two, maybe 3 years max, right? So just a thought.
From 4 separate barbers in one day. It wasn't until after the 4th haircut that I realized I could have just asked the first barber for a shorter haircut. I stayed at a job I hated, working 60+ hour weeks for big paychecks. For 4 years I was too tired, miserable and sore to even enjoy it when I could. Maybe it's just because I have this perspective now, but I would have been twice as happy flipping burgers. I lost friends, was far too miserable for anyone to want to date, and lived a very sad life where ordering pizza alone on Saturday nights was usually the highlight of my week. I consider my years of 24-28 to be wasted years in pursuit of paychecks and not making financial mistakes. It was not worth it. There was a condo, studio, across the hall from my parents for sale, for around $28K. My parents was willing to pay for half to have me living across the hall. I had the money, but living across the hallway from my parents made it a hard no. Now 20 years later, that condo is worth 200+ K in today's market, plus all the rent I would have saved. My grandfather was offered an entire tenement apt building for $28K back in the 80s. His market rate rent was $26 now. He had the money but no skills to manage such an undertaking. Some years ago, I read that the building was sold for $6 million+ and torn down for a new development. I let my mom find out where I did my banking. She then proceeded to use my personal information to gain access to my account and steal $76,000 out of it that I had been saving for a house. Did you take legal action and get that back? Nothing I was able to do about it at the time, unfortunately. I was living with her and didn't have any funds to move out on my own because she had taken everything I had. Any charges I filed would have to have been criminal, which would have resulted in her going to jail and me being homeless. So just had to let it slide.
Just had to let it slide. Just had to let it.
What did you say, nigga?
Wow. A lot of these stories are like funny, but at the same time, like, actually sad. Literally, he could have been homeless. Shit, man. That's actually tough. Fuck. It's a cold world out here, man. It's a cold world out here.
4 years of my life farming to save for college. Then I was too old to enjoy it as I was older than everyone. I graduated at 25 and had a great time in college. Yeah, you don't have a ton in common with like freshmen. Even a couple years out of school, I'm still really close to people who were a couple years younger than me. It's not high school, dog. People really don't give that much of a shit. Staying at the same job for too long. I followed my passion for martial arts and worked at a martial arts studio. The pay was shit, especially for New York City, but the owner kept saying if I stuck with it, I'd make a lot one day. It took until my mid-30s to realize he was just stringing me along. I started over in a new industry and within 3 months, was making more at an entry-level position that I did in more than 10 years at my last job. Following your passion is important, but be prepared for the possibility of being poor.
Exactly, like even this YouTube channel right here did not make any money for like 2 years. It's only until like the 3rd year now, I think this is the 3rd year, 3rd or 4th year, that I'm making like somewhat livable income. Like YouTube, anything online. People don't trust anybody that tells you can make money online within like a month. Anything online, you're looking at least 1 to 3 years minimum of investment, input, before you see significant output. There are now videos that I've made 2 years ago that are still making me money, right? I even made a video like yesterday talking about how videos on YouTube might take 3 months, 6 months, or even a whole year before they blow up or before they give you views or even give you revenue, right? If it's not like a news story or a news topic or a trending topic, you're not gonna get views a lot initially. It might take multiple months, right? So understand, right? So side hustle, probably the best side hustle I've experienced in my opinion is doing like paid studies or being like a quote unquote mini guinea pig for like a sleep study or a health study or something like that, right? Those are the ones that the paid studies, top notch, top tier, no cap. Hopefully that gave you some things to think about in your own financial journey. You know, we're all living our own race. Charlie Munger once said, he said, step by step, we get ahead, but not necessarily in fast spurts. We build discipline by preparing for fast spurts. Slug it out one day at a time, and at the end of the day, if you live long enough, most people get what they deserve. Alright, God bless, much love, peace, and joy. Namaste. Watch some other content, how the YouTube algorithm works, and perhaps if you're struggling with marijuana addiction, how to get over your marijuana addiction. Doesn't feed you, don't water it, and too much of any good thing is good for nothing. How you lot doing today? I'm doing more, saying less, and keeping that same energy. No cap. You know what I'm saying? Deuces.
3 a.m. and you still want a nigga to slide on you. Lucky I ride for you. I'ma hit up your line when I start up the drive for you. Wouldn't wanna waste my time, but you know that I vibe with you. You don't even care that the sun down.